Commonwealth Brewery Limited. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us along for another week, an exciting week planned for you. Well, we start with the mid-year budget. Not long from now, we'll hear what senators make of the mid-year budget now that it's cleared the House of Assembly, alongside several resolutions. Now, as expected, wrapping up the debate, the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, who dismissed talk of an illusion and instead attributed the progress his government has made 6 months into determination and hard work. That's what he said, made it all happen. Here's Fern Curry with the details.
Minister of Finance, Prime Minister the Honourable Philip Davis, touting the government's progress for the first half of the fiscal year in the House of Assembly Monday. He cited fiscal discipline and strategic planning as pivotal to a revived domestic economy and other gains.
When you see an economy that is growing, when you see jobs returning, when you see record investment flowing into this country, you do not need to be told that what success looks like. It is happening. It is real. And it is only possible because of the faith, the perseverance, and the sheer resilience of the Bahamian people.
The nation's leader noted that the facts speak for themselves despite criticism from the opposition. His comments prompting opposition leader Michael Pintard to rise to his feet on a point of order.
International agencies, investors, and economists point to the Bahamas as a country on the rise.
That's right.
They cover their ears.
Yep.
Madam Speaker, they told us the economy will not recover. It has.
Yes.
They told us we could not attract investments. We have. They told us unemployment would not fall. It has. They told us we would not get spending under control.
That's right.
We did.
We did that.
They told us that government revenues would collapse. They have strengthened. Do you accept that the economy has recovered?
Yes.
Madam Speaker, when the economy reopened, it reopened, Madam Speaker, with a 14, then 10% economic growth rate. And then it returned to pre-pandemic numbers. So to answer the Prime Minister, yes, once an economy reopens, you expect an increase.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Fern Carey.
All right, there you have it. The budget now passed. It always gets aggressive during budget period because there's a time to go back and forth over who's succeeding and who's failing, particularly when you're a year out on some months from elections. Then, of course, everybody's trying to put their case forward as to who's the better to serve. The Prime Minister, of course, I think would have said it quite clearly. The facts are there to determine whether or not the government is successful or not. He believes that his term in office so far has been successful. And that they're turning the corner and doing some things. The opposition will, of course, question that as to whether that's authentic or whether that growth is as a result of this administration or whether the growth was, I guess, able to happen on the precipice of the former administration. At the end of the day, Bahamians will decide based on how they feel the economy is going right now, how they feel their life is going right now, will determine whether or not this administration is indeed on the right track or not. At the end of the day, I always tell people don't worry about the rhetoric in Parliament because sometimes it gets very theatrical and a lot of drama. You have to judge based on how things are impacting you, how they're impacting the community you live in, how they're impacting your nation, and you make the decision based on that. Well, we can also tell you tonight that Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister, the Honourable Jomo Campbell, is responding to the opposition's criticism about the government's Golden Yoke program. The program launched back in 2023 and was touted to improve food security, lower import costs, assist farmers, and increase employment opportunities while also attaining self-sufficiency in egg production. However, since that much talked about groundbreaking, the project has been delayed because of several external factors. Well, Minister Campbell roundly rejected opposition leader Michael Pintard's assertion that the government has squandered the more than $16 million allocated for the program.
The Golden Yoke project is by no means exhausted, not even a quarter of that. And so we will be updating the Bahamian public in a very short order, as a matter of fact, within the next 24 hours, completely and thoroughly on the present scope and update as to where we are with the project.
Minister Campbell also maintains food security is everybody's business, should not be used to play politics.
At this present time, we have 10,000 checks who the colleagues and members of the press were able to see and feel and hold in their very own hands. And so we ask persons, especially in positions of high esteem and responsibility, who have public trust, to be responsible with the public trust and not to use it for political gain, because food security should not be a political football. It impacts all of us. I've never seen a chicken wearing party colors, and we don't intend to politicize this. It's here for the benefit of all, even for the inmates at the Bahamas Department of Corrections.
Here right now, we're going to get we're going to have a closer discussion on this Golden Yoke program. My guest tonight is a farmer, and we'll talk more about how they feel. And then, of course, tomorrow, the minister, as you heard him talk about, will give a full account. He and his team will be here on the rundown tomorrow night to give a full account of this Golden Yoke program and to talk more in detail about it. So tonight and tomorrow night, we're going to turn our focus to the Golden Yoke program and try to get an understanding of it. At the end of the day, I want to talk about this ag situation because we've been talking about it. Let me say this gingerly, because we complain about things, we get things, and we still complain about things. We complain about the price of eggs. There's a solution to the egg problem. The prices are back down due to a new supplier. And then we complain about whether the eggs are good, whether the eggs are contaminated, whether it's a legit deal. And I've said before to people, the most difficult population to please is the Bahamian population, because we complain about something, and when it's fixed, and then we're still skeptical. The reality is, people have been buying the eggs, they're enjoying them. They're a little yellow on the inside of the yolk. They're not what we used to seeing, that pale yellow. They're real yellow yolk. And I've been told that's because they're natural and authentic, but I mean, I've tried it. I don't have a problem. Tastes good to me. I haven't had any side effects. So I'm happy. Not yet. Somebody says, not yet, but hey, I think at the end of the day, if you ask for something and something is given to you, then it's up to you to determine whether or not it's good quality. Would I like to buy local eggs? Yes. Would I like to support local farmers? Yes. Do I believe that we should be purchasing eggs locally? Absolutely. And we need to find a way to make sure that happens. Okay, we're going to talk tonight on several national stories of interest. The first one we're going to go to tonight, we have the head of the Student Government Association of the University of the Bahamas. You remember they recently had a dilemma with student funding from the government, and we'll talk to a female farmer also after that story, who talks about the importance of food security and why we need to be able to do what we need to do to secure ourselves when it comes to feeding ourselves. Two important topics, and we're going to get started with the rundown on those topics when we come back after the break. Stay close.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this bring great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community, also help with the education of our kids in this community, and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Christ from the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting TingsyBahamas.com.
Welcome back. Good evening to all of you who are watching us and joining us, whether you're in the Lion's Den on Facebook or on YouTube or watching us from around the region or the world on your various platforms. And those of you here at home, it's always a pleasure to have you joining us in the show. Well, the University of the Bahamas students recently pleaded with the government to meet its commitment of financial assistance. Fed up with chronic delays to the government's tertiary program grant, the students took a more public and vocal approach. We got this story here from Corval Pyfrom on the students' concern and the government's response to them. Take a look.
UB Student Government Association taking the unusual step of writing directly to the government because once again it says students' lives are being adversely impacted, their education thrown in limbo. Delays in getting critical funds for supplies, academic resources, and accommodations, funds guaranteed under the government's tertiary grant program, have not been dispersed. SGA President Shante Deal says students, particularly those in nursing and teaching programs, those most impacted, have been waiting on these funds since last semester, though this problem, she insists, has existed long before then.
These student aids include the teachers' grant, the nurses' grant, as well as the accommodations grant. So all of these students who fall under these various grants or stipends, they have been affected by these delayed payments.
In their letter, the students asked the government four crucial questions. Has it failed to uphold its financial obligations to the university, thereby placing the students in limbo? Has it allocated the funds needed to support the grant to other areas? What priority does it place on higher education? And how does this align with the institution's founding vision? Well, Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin hadn't yet read the students' letter when she spoke to reporters Wednesday morning, but she was nonetheless sympathetic to their plight and promised swift action.
But we have to work out a methodology that would allow for more efficient payment, so we don't end up in this situation where students are there being stressed out on the issue of this subvention to their studies.
The minister, as you heard us say there, says this matter is most regrettable. However, both sides seem genuinely committed to resolving the situation both amicably and expeditiously. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Corval Pyfrom.
Thank you, Corval. Well, we've got an update on this story from UB Student Government Association Senate Speaker Isaac Barr, who joins me live in studio tonight. Good evening. Welcome to the Rundown. Good to have you.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so we understand the students finally got their funding from the government. Does that mean all is well now?
No, that does not mean all is well. Our initial issue within the payments being made was the fact that there was a delay in the payments being made. And because of that delay, we all know that the grant covers the accommodation grant for students as well as the teaching and nursing stipend. The issue is that because there is a delay in the payments, students, for example, under the accommodation grant, which is supposed to give the students a certain amount of money to be able to pay rent for landlords, is being delayed, as well as the fact that the nursing and teacher stipend that is also supposed to be submitted monthly to be distributed to both nursing and teaching students are also imposing an issue and not being paid on time.
Are those now being sorted out?
Yes, they are being sorted out, and the payments so far have been paid up to date.
Okay, so it's come up to date?
Yes, it has.
All right. So is this the first time it's been delayed?
No, it is not. This has been a recurring issue from almost the time as if when the payments and the grant program was established within the university, but it has become recently detrimental beginning in the fall 2024 academic term to the spring 2025 term presently.
Has there been an explanation given as to why the payments are constantly being late?
As the Student Government Association, that is why we put out this memorandum to, I guess, put out a statement to find out exactly why. We're not sure. We have been given multiple, I guess, comments and statements from the University of the Bahamas Relations Department and just giving us updates on it and telling us and letting us know that the payments will be submitted on several dates. They have done a wonderful job communicating that to us, but our question is, why is there a constant delay?
And have you had a meeting with government? I know the university has been keeping you updated,
yes.
But have there been any communication with the students as to, listen, this is what is going on, this is what we're trying to work to fix, or is it just, you know, we can get it sorted out, relax?
It's just we'll get it sorted out, relax.
That's unfortunate. And I want you to, I know you started talking about it, but how is this impacting student life?
So, like I would have mentioned earlier, firstly, the government tertiary grant covers both the accommodation grant as well as the teaching and nursing stipend that the government opted to fund the students with. So the accommodation grant gives the students a certain amount of money to be able to submit to landlords for payments for rent. It's supposed to aid and assist them with that.
Are these mostly Family Island students?
These are Family Island international students, yes.
Who are looking to make sure they have some place to stay?
Yes. And within making those payments, I guess, to the landlords, it ensures that the students have somewhere to stay while they come here over to Nassau to pursuing their degree programs at the university.
All right, see, this, you know, I'm glad you gave me this update because if it is important that national institutions, via government, adhere to and hold up to the level of the obligation, because it impacts people's lives. And it shouldn't be seen as if, listen, we're doing you a favor by paying us so you relax. No, because people have other options. This is designed to ensure that we keep our talent, first of all, here at home. This is designed to ensure that our brightest and strongest minds can focus on education, not to worry about how they're going to live. This is designed to ensure that we get better, productive citizens in the country and in the workforce. So it's not the government doing a favor to the students. It is the government ensuring that it has right, productive people entering the workplace that can carry on the legacies that are being left in these institutions. And that means you have to honor your commitment and honor it on time. Now, anybody who works in a public service understands that sometimes government expects things to take place, and the people expected to make sure it happens are the ones dropping the ball. And sometimes the public service, unfortunately, runs very loosely, and there are people in the public service that don't understand the importance of the job they do, and because it becomes so much of a routine, they figured whenever I get it done, I get it done. And I'm going to talk about that later this week, right? I'm going to tell you about my experience in the court and the legal system and with the police. And I'll tell you about an encounter that I experienced over the weekend and this week that allowed me to see the inner workings of our public service, and it is appalling. It is appalling. I'm going to talk about that on a different show. But I'm glad you brought this up because, again, if this is something that's supposed to be in place, there are people who are supposed to ensure that it happens on time. Yes. It is unacceptable for students have to go on national TV and go out to the cameras to cry for help on something that's supposed to be entitled to them. Because that same thing, that same program is going to come around during the campaign and be touted. It's going to be used in conventions and say, this is what we did for the young people of the Bahamas. So if that's what you're going to tout, you got to make sure that the young people of the Bahamas are getting on time what you promised, since you're going to tout the program. How do students feel who have been impacted by this? Have you spoken to students? What is their demeanor? How do they feel?
Like I said, there are a lot of students that now are unable to pay their rent and are now being evicted out of their units.
There are people being evicted?
Yes, there are. As well as, like I would have mentioned, the nursing and teaching stipend. It's now causing the teachers and nurses that need to buy, I guess, things that help them along with the program. Yeah, the supplies as well. So they're not being able to get that funding, and now it has to be done out of pocket. And another thing that a lot of individuals don't realize is there are requirements that the students have to fulfill to be on these programs. So it's more or less that the students are fulfilling their endeavor and their partnership with the university.
In other words, they're holding up their part of the bargain, and somebody ain't holding up their part of the bargain.
Sir.
What are some of those criteria? What are some of the criteria?
So you have to uphold a 2.0 GPA straightforward with a C average, as well as having to be of a Bahamian descent, being a Bahamian citizen. And yes, I believe those are the minimum requirements.
So it's stuff that naturally come with being enrolled in the program.
Pretty much.
So what's the next move now for the student body? Where are you now? Are you hoping that it just clarifies and gets back on track, or is there a course of action?
We are more or less hoping that it is addressed in this way, but the Student Government Association has already opted to bring back together our board members to decide another way in which we should address this issue if it is not addressed in a timely manner as it has been presented in our memorandum.
Have you spoken to the minister? Because she's a woman of action. She ought to be able to get it done for you. Have you spoken to the minister yet?
No, we have not.
Y'all being kind. Y'all being nice. Y'all allowing the university to handle it. Listen, go to see Minister Hannah Martin. I promise you she will give you an answer, and she will find out what the problem is and get to the bottom of it. Sometimes these institutions are only sitting ducks. Sitting ducks. And that's my advice to you. Go and see the minister and get some resolution on why it's taking so long, and so get some reassurance that they're going to work this out. Otherwise, you'd be here every quarter or whenever. How often do you get these stipends?
Every quarter, yes. Every
quarter you'd be here saying it's late again, it's late again. There has to be better accountability. And sometimes there are people who are falling down on the job and people don't know they're falling down. So my advice to you would be to go and talk directly to the head and get some resolution on the matter. Has UB been responsive with this? I know you're saying they've been nice, but have they been responsive in getting answers for you?
The university has done a great job in communicating their updates with us, but as...
You're going to have a joke because you're a student there. You won't get kicked out. You having challenges at the university, don't you? Okay, so...
You're not having challenges.
You're not having challenges at the university. You're making sure you're not having challenges at the university. You're not having challenges.
My response is the university is in our favor, not responsible for the government.
So it's filtered through them?
It's filtered through them, yes. All of the funds that they receive are a greater portion is fully funded by the government of the Bahamas.
So then my suggestion again is go to the powers that be in government and get your answer. And I hope things work out. How many students are impacted by this?
There's thousands of students, well over about 2,000 to 3,000 students from International and Family Island, all gathered together.
Wow. Are the stipends different, or is it the same amount straight across?
It's the same amount straight across.
And what is that amount?
$500.
500 every 3 months?
Every month. Every month.
Every month?
Yes, sir.
So when you get it once a quarter, that's $1,500?
Yes, sir, pretty much.
And then that normally goes towards rent?
Rent as well. So rent would be for the Family Island students of any degree program, you would get that. And then with regards to the teachers and nursing stipend, you have to be a teacher and a nursing student to get that $500.
And that goes towards whatever you needed to go towards for your education. All right, well, hopefully things are sorted out now. I'm glad you said it's paid up to date. And so how far behind were they?
They were 2 months behind.
They were 2 months, so it wasn't a full quarter then?
With regard to the nursing and teacher stipend, it was a full quarter, but the accommodations was more or less being paid a bit quicker.
Okay.
But so far it has been paid up to date, all 3 of the grants.
That's some good news. Again, talk to the minister and get some resolution. Thank you, sir, for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to farming, food, self-sufficiency, golden yoke. We're going to talk to someone who wants to really speak out on this issue. You're watching The Rundown. We're back right after this. Stay close.
Today, we had the culmination of the Women Entrepreneurs Initiative in a press conference. We were here to celebrate 83 women who were awarded grant funding up to $10,000 each. Those 83 recipients totaling a grant funding over $600,000 for their concept, their business, whether it is starting or it is expanding. And so we've had recipients across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and many of the Family Islands. And so we were excited to celebrate them. We were honored to have members of our SBDC team, members of the board, particularly and most special honored guest, Mrs. Anne-Marie Davis, who made sure that it was a priority within her schedule to celebrate with us and all of the grant recipients here today.
To learn more about the Women Entrepreneurs Initiative, visit our website or contact us at 461-7232. And remember, empowered women empower women.
Planning the execution of a newscast is serious business. From the assignment to the concept of the story, everything has to be precise, on point, always. The Bahamas Tonight, the national report, is your trusted news service. We get it right the first time. Our preparation for you each night is done with care, knowing that our voices will reach you on 700 islands and keys with unquestionable accuracy. It gives me great pleasure each night to say, welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the national report. I'm your national anchor, Mukesh Lapinder.
Welcome back to the Rundown, changing tone a bit and talking a little bit more, something that people have been talking about in the media. Now, her face will be familiar to you. She's well known in the political circles as the former head of the Free National Movement's Women's Branch Association, actually, Women's Association. And of course, she's a former candidate as well. She ran independently, member of the Free National Movement again. And tonight she's speaking, though, as an agriculture advocate. Karen Shepherd is head of the Bahamas Agro Entrepreneurs Group. We'll talk about food security tonight. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Clint, for inviting me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. You released a statement last week, and it caught my attention. When I read it. I'd be like, I heard so much passion in it. I want you to go ahead and talk to us a little bit about that statement so the public can hear where your heart is, and then we'll get into our conversation.
Wonderful. I appreciate this. You know, for me, farming has become a second passion for me, and I have been agitating for the farmers for a number of years, and I would have what I call a righteous anger. The righteous anger in that there's so much that we can do in this country that the farmers are not being allowed to do. And when I use the word allowed to do, meaning that they don't have the resources or the backing, the support from the government to be able to push them in the direction that they need to go in. And when I looked at our numbers, Clint, and on vegetables alone, we import $78 million worth of food. Wow. In vegetables alone.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, okay? And so for the Golden Yoke program, we all attended the ceremony, and we were looking forward to it, and I expressed my sentiments, and I had indicated that the Golden Yoke is a fantastic program 2 years ago, and I was looking forward for it to come to fruition and be able to assist our farmers in escalating their product to another level. And so for me, 2 years later, I went to the same exact site where groundbreaking took place. Shovels were used. Not only that, they had a big grandeur affair indicating that this is where we're going to have the Golden Yoke. Well, me being inquisitive and a farmer and knowing what's happening, I had to go drive out there 2 weeks ago at the same site. And at the same site, it's as barren could be, okay? So when I hear the minister today indicating that they have 10,000 chickens available, okay? And if we work the numbers based on what they're saying, you're looking, some saying 15 million, some saying 16 million, okay, fine. We'll use the lower number just for comfort, all right? So that leaves us with what? 15 million minus the 30,000 leaves us with 15,570,000. And if we add in the $400,000, which was supposed to be for the feed mill, okay, where are we? No feed mill, no chickens, no grow houses, and the feed mill that exists now creates feed that is not as nutritious as should be for the animals. And so the righteous anger that I have with regards to agriculture not only pertains specifically to the Golden Yoke, but specifically to agriculture on the whole. The dynamics, the veins in which we have the opportunity to increase our productivity in agriculture is vast. It's not limited to just going out in the field. There's the supply chain that we need to look at. We have the marketing that needs to be promoted. And so there's so much avenues that agriculture needs to be, I should say we should press the reset button on agriculture.
So let me ask you, because agriculture, we've been talking about this for decades now.
We have.
About food security, and it seems as if consecutive administrations are challenged. And I don't want to say challenged, it's not an overnight thing.
No.
It takes time to develop a sector that can now begin to feed a nation. That don't happen overnight.
No.
And I believe every administration has made some level of success in getting closer to that. So what I'm I guess asking is, what are the missing gaps? What are we missing? Why it's taking a bit longer? Or does it just take this long? Because consecutive administrations have been challenged. This administration is trying to implement its way and do some things. The previous administration on agriculture under Michael Pintard tried to do some things, but still couldn't get it all done. The previous administration before that, the same thing. The Alpha Grade, same thing. What is the challenge?
Well, the challenge is that one of the main challenges is the resources. That's one of the main challenges. Secondly, the support. Okay, the farmers actually need the support. I understand the government has the land that they give to people who would like to farm.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that. However, when you give someone 2 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, and it's like dropping them out in the middle of the ocean and say, you swim or you drown. There's no support system for them to get to a place where they're able to have traction on the road, per se, and then they're able to increase, okay? We find that in the numerous administrations that we've had, we've approached all administrations, okay? And we've expressed our desires for us to be able to elevate the agricultural sector.
Mm-hmm.
We get lip service. Yes, we will do it. Yes, we'll do it. It never happens. So it never gets to a point where the agricultural sector actually gets real traction. Then, to counteract that, because we're in a hurricane belt, we have hurricanes that then knocks the farmers back off their feet.
So that's what I wanted to ask, because we've been in a period now where we've not had hurricanes for several years. So it's been a really good period for farmers to be able to get back on track. So my question then is, haven't consecutive administrations made available to farmers access to funding to be able to get their businesses and their farming on the right track? So I hear you saying that, you know, we need support, but there's SPDC who's put in place funding so that farmers can have access. There are other grants, there are other programs where farmers can access to get farming. My question is, and I don't want to say this without sounding in a certain tone, but how much does it take to get a farmer up and running and operating? And at what point does it bear the responsibility on the farmer to successfully run the business side of it? Because you have a lot of farmers who know how to get it done, but they don't have the business side of it, which is where the challenge lies.
That is one of the challenges for farmers, and I do admit and I do acknowledge that with the ministers. And I say to them, yes, we have farmers who farm. However, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to the actual books of the farming, of the farmer, then that becomes a slight challenge. But getting back to SPDC, SPDC has a program in place. However, we have found out, and we have even mentioned this to SPC, you need to know who the actual farmers are and assist the actual farmers.
Don't they have to come forward? Don't they have to come forward, though? I mean, we're talking about assistance, right? And again, I say it. We have to begin to move. Move forward.
Yes.
We can't sit there and say, nobody come to me. Nobody, I out here farming, nobody here for nobody.
SBC puts out their initiative. When they put their initiative out and the farmers submit their applications, and I can speak because I know this for a fact, the actual farmers' applications are the ones that are not acknowledged. We have found that there are persons who know when SBC is putting out certain initiatives. Once those initiatives are out, then they apply as a farmer, get a farmer's license, get their get their NIB on everything and they submit, and then we find out that, hey, listen, how did this person get $50,000?
Right.
How did this person get $150,000? And they're not in the farming community before this, okay? One of the persons I can speak to who has been successful, and I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning because I didn't speak to her before this, is Shatara out of Andros. She's producing strawberries.
Strawberries?
Strawberries. And for a woman, I applaud her for what she's doing.
We're growing strawberries in the Bahamas.
We are growing strawberries, and the most tastiest strawberries,
wow,
believe it or not.
I did not know we were growing strawberries in the Bahamas.
We are. And she's doing a fantastic job of that.
Hats off to her.
Yes, hats off to her. And we are pleased that she has been assisted by SBCC. But the thing about it is the majority of the farmers, the local farmers who are hardworking, and then another thing, we have people in some of the ministries that say, oh, farmers aren't together, farmers, you know, they say all these negative things when that is not true. That is absolute rubbish, okay? Farmers are together. They are working together. However, we could be sharpening our pencils a little bit more, but at the end of the day, we just needed a little bit more support to be able to get where we need to go.
The farmers who are in the market now, where are they taking their product?
Well, most of the persons actually sell from their farms because they're not on an extremely large scale to be able to take it. I know some persons out of Andros are supplying Super Value. I know that.
Really? So there are some people who are actually supplying the wholesalers, the retailers?
Yes, they're supplying Super Value with cabbage and stuff like that, okay? But it's not on the scale that we would like for it to be.
Right.
Okay, when you, like I said to you initially, we import $78 million worth of vegetables.
If you could just get a portion of that amount.
Thank you. That's exactly, that's what I'm saying, okay? And then that's not even talking about chicken and that sort of stuff, how much chicken we import into this country. And as a result of all of these different imports that we have coming in this country, there's somewhere, somehow, the farmer should be able to benefit. You know, we've had a number, as I mentioned before, the hurricanes that have knocked farmers down. The last worst one was Matthew in 2017. And so, I mean, we personally experienced the death of 1,500 chickens. You know, we had to, you know, get rid of 1,500 chickens just after Matthew and judge other farmers who had chickens.
One storm, 1,500 chickens.
One storm, 1,500 chickens, okay? And then you also have the poor feed, where, especially in the last 6 months, where farmers had to euthanize their animals because they couldn't get the feed on time to be able to feed their animals. And so they were scrapping to try and keep them alive, and then we had to euthanize animals. So all of this has become very discouraging, but not to the point where the farmers are going to give up.
Wow.
You know? And so, you know, one of the things that we want to be able to say to the Bahamian public, and we thank them for being able and wanting to purchase local products because they want to be able to purchase.
And as Lord knows, it's healthier.
It is. And people are agitating, why aren't the farmers doing this? Why? But the farmers are limited to what they have, you know? And, you know, one of the sustainable goals is to be able to cut your food poverty by 25% by the year 2025.
That's correct.
And we're in 2025 right now. We are so far short of that till it's not funny.
I want to take a break. When we come back, I want to ask you, if we were to now say, okay, it's mandatory, we have to buy from local farmers, what needs to be put in place for these farmers to be able to supply Bahamians? Is it the machinery? Is it the shelf life? Is it the packing houses, which we've seen get rid of recently? I want to find out what we need to do so that we can all help ourselves. We'll talk with after the break. We're back after this. Stay close.
After 30 years of banking, I've decided to take a leap of faith. I moved from banking into an untapped industry, which is manufacturing in the Bahamas. And now we are standing on 3 acres of land on which we're going to be putting the Bahamas' first end-to-end plastic recycling company, Eden Recycling and Manufacturing Company Limited. Eden has 2 arms, recycling and manufacturing.
This is groundbreaking for us. It's never been done before. It really makes a difference, not only in the Bahamas, but even around the world. This is not just a project that we're doing so that we can make a couple of dollars. We want to make sure that it benefits those who come after us. In future generations, we hope that this is a small vision, that they will take it and they'll expand on it. We can have the formula for what it means to do end-to-end recycling in the Bahamas, in the region, and even if we have to export these ideas and thoughts and concepts even into the U.S.
Numbers move people to make decisions.
I don't know that there's been a time where we had a program asking this very sticky question. These are the women that are actually running the government.
Welcome back to The Rundown. My guest tonight is Karen Shepherd. She's representing farmers, talking about really the industry and what attention needs to be given towards farming. If we're going to talk about self-sufficiency and feeding ourselves, I agree. We have to take a greater approach to it. And I think it's going to require an administration that says, you know what? The budget is going to double for agriculture and mean it.
Yes.
Because we can't say we're going to provide support and then the budget is the same it's been for the last 25 years. Right. What you're going to provide support with. It takes money.
Yes.
And I think if we take a big considered approach to put the money there, we may see a dent. But we can't say we're going to make a dent and we're not putting any other resources behind it. It just makes no sense.
But this goes back to the $15 million that was allocated for the now scrambled eggs. I call it scrambled eggs because the 15
good pun on words.
$16 million. Like I said, if we take out the 30...
Do you feel it was invested? Do you believe that money did go into the Yoko?
I will have to see the documentation to verify where it went. And I'm sure Minister Campbell is going to explain that tomorrow.
We're going to ask.
Yes.
Because I believe if you put $50 million in anything, there should be something. Something.
Exactly. Okay.
If it went there, yeah.
So even if they had taken the $15 million, $16 million invested into the farmers, even in my group,
you get the work done yourself, right? You just sit back and let them get the work done.
We would have had $64,000 for each farmer, or if we had only used 50 farmers, we'd have had $320,000 for each farmer. Trust me. Those farmers would have gotten something done. You would have actually seen chickens on the ground.
How long does it take to produce an egg?
The eggs, they start, well, first when you get the chick goes up to a hen up to 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
Once after the 3 to 4 month period, then they go into process of then starting to lay eggs. And they
after only 3-4 months?
4 months, yeah. And then after that, they will lay eggs. They will lay an egg. Each hen will lay up to about 275 eggs per year.
275 eggs?
Yeah, 275 eggs per year. And then in the second year, their production drops to about 240, somewhere around there, 240, 220. And in the third year, it then also lessens, okay? So chickens are very valuable commodity at a very low cost, kind of speak. It's just that you need to maintain them. And so as I was indicating, if they had taken the monies and just invested it into the farmers who we have, the farmers would have had $64,000 each, or if we only used 50 farmers, they would have had $320,000 each. And trust me, we wouldn't have been importing eggs today.
We will be able to have eggs that people can purchase locally.
That's correct.
Enough eggs.
Well, it wouldn't have been enough, but we would put a dent in the importation of eggs. as they had initially indicated that this $16 million was proposed to do. Yeah. Okay? Trust me, we have farmers out there who are sincere in what they're doing. They want to get this done. And trust me, like I said, the 10,000 chicks that the minister is talking about, that's $30,000. That's $30,000, okay? So there's still a balance as to where's the rest of the money if he used that money to buy the chicks.
Right.
Okay?
So we were talking about farming and being able, if we were to say now, Bahamians have to be able to buy from local farmers, at least something.
Yes.
What does it take for local farmers to be able to supply, if only a portion of our foods, for example, fruits and vegetables, which we say are the most expensive things to buy in the food stores. Correct. And we're talking about health and wellness right now. People need to eat healthy. Yes. And they can afford to buy from local farmers and cut the expense that's going on right now in retailers. They'll do it. What are some of the things that local farmers can provide? And what are some of the things they need in order to be able to provide those things for consumption?
Okay, well, I'll just use the basic kitchen items that most housewives use on a daily basis.
Not just housewives, because there's
no, I understand.
Some of us husbands cook too.
Yes. Husbands do cook. If we took onions, for instance, Andres grows some fantastic onions and tomatoes, okay? We import $6 million worth of onions, okay?
6 million.
6 million. Tomatoes, we import $5 million worth of tomatoes, okay? Bananas, 5 million. Plantains, 2 million. Potatoes, 9 million. Come on.
Wow.
$9 million worth of potatoes.
And these are vegetables and fruits that can be grown here?
These could be grown here. Yes, oranges. You remember we used to grow oranges many years ago?
Citrus Farm and Abacos, there's been a place for it.
$4 million in oranges. You know, I'm just rounding these numbers are because they're actually over the 5 million.
Right.
Okay? And then, like I said, lettuce. We import $7 million worth of lettuce. And the thing about it is, we had approached the government and asked the government to supply the farmers with the grow houses so that we can produce the lettuce on a consistent basis to reduce the imports of lettuce, okay? So, you know, and one of the United Nations goals, as I said, is to eradicate poverty. We could get people interested in agriculture and let them know that, no, you don't have to be out in the field.
Right, because I can't go in the sun all day.
Exactly. Not everybody's designed for that. However, there's so many different veins, as I had indicated, that persons can go into. Like you asked about the business side of it. I'm a farmer and I may not want to do my books.
Right.
I will get somebody else to do my books, okay? I'm a farmer. After I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go out in the hot sun, I don't want to market my product.
Right.
So we have somebody else to market the product, okay? And these are all different veins in which we can utilize people to come in. We don't have to import. We have people here who are well able and capable of doing these things.
This is what we've been saying for years.
Yes, it needs to happen. It needs to get to the point where it gets off that spinning wheel, and like I always say, move it from the back burner and bring it to the front burner. We need to get it to the front burner.
Like you said, the product is good.
We have excellent products here. Let me tell you, when it was COVID and all the countries were shut down and people were purchasing our local produce, trust me, they loved it. They couldn't wait for Saturday to come to the farmer's market to be able to purchase fresh vegetables, especially kale, baby kale, arugula, spinach, cilantro.
All of this being produced locally. Cilantro too?
Yes. We have one of the best celeries. And I'll tell you, there was this chef that came to our farm at one point. They wanted us to grow cilantro. But whatever he was cooking, he needed the actual roots of the cilantro and not the leaves. So he wanted us to produce just the roots for him to create this dish that he was doing because of the potency of the cilantro that we had. And so people, we just need to get in this place where we are moving from the back burner to the front burner. This is the new industry that needs to be tapped into. We're talking about 9, 10 million tourists coming to the country. Why aren't we feeding them? Why are we not supplying foods to the hotels? Why are we not saying, hey, listen, we're gonna supply cucumbers and lettuce and tomatoes, salads, just for a hamburger every day? You have all these fast food places who are importing their lettuce, tomatoes, but we could grow them here.
They will tell you that they can't get this, the amount, the volume they need. That's why I keep hearing all the time.
Yes, that is correct.
We can't get the volume here. We
And
can't get
that's
the
where
volume
we
here.
have been trying to get the government
And that's where
to
the money comes in.
understand that's where the money comes in. You could invest $220 million here, $100 million there, but one of the main things that needs attention is being put on the side. And here it is, we're asking to be able to put a dent in our imports. How are you going to put a dent in your imports if you're not investing in your local market to be able to put a dent in the imports? You know, there's so much disparity with this coming from this way, coming from that way, but at the same time, in order for you to make money, you have to invest money. And yes, it's going to hurt in the first beginning, but at the end of the day, long term, you're looking 10, 15, 20 years down the road. What results will you have after you've invested what you're investing?
Right.
You know, and that's where we need to get to that point. You think when they come to build a hotel and they bring $3 billion, you think they're looking at the $3 billion, what they're spending now? No. They're looking at the end result. And that's the problem. Our people in certain places are not looking at the end result. They're only looking at, oh, you shouldn't have more than I should have, or you.
Is that
But that is not the case.
is that crazy mentality we have in this country?
We need to pump monies into our farmers. And I can tell you everybody could be perfect. Okay, because nobody in any organization, you have some people that will go contrary, yes, but the majority of them, you know how much farmers were hurt about the golden yoke? Because they knew they could do it, and they were producing chickens and eggs.
They just wanted that support.
They just need that support.